Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the start of a brand new and very exciting Dominions 5 adventure. This is the subscribers game that I have been advertising, and I know it's been a while since that video first went up because, of course, I had to wait until the game had progressed a number of turns, so that would be far enough behind that I wouldn't be giving away all of my pro or terribly amateur strats, one of the case. But this is Do You Even Lift, the game between myself and my subscribers. So the players list, because I think that'll be a little bit interesting. So general confusion, I am playing late age Phlegra. This is a late age game, pretty standard settings. I tweaked the map a little bit to make sure that everybody had their preferred terrain type. That's about it. Nasajin, who you know and presumably enjoy, is playing late age Abysia. Althaea is playing Ragha. Jimbo is playing Marignon. MeadMaker is playing Ulm. General Sinwah is playing Tianchi. Nosy Rat is playing Utgard. Perun is playing Atlantis. Seventh Path is Midgard. Erni is Erytheia, not Is for once. Mr. Root is playing Relay. josieLOL is playing Pangaea. Dakede is playing Man, or possibly Dakede, one of the two. MrProgressor is playing Agartha. Pixelboyable is playing Mictlan, and WraithLord24 is playing Satis. So 16 players. The map is a little bit small for 16 players that I generated. So we've got like about 12 to 13 provinces each as opposed to 15. So it's a little bit close quarters. Should be interesting to see what happens there. And I think this game is going to be a blast. So let's jump in to turn 1. In the beginning there was chaos, etc. My god, the Gigantist, god of Phlegra. It seems appropriate, right? They worship the Gigantist. And the Gigantist, of course, is a Drakon. He's a Awake Expander. He's got a Reinvigoration +2 and Regeneration Bless, so that I can slap Shrouds on Mekoneans and give them 2 effects in one slot. I messed around a lot trying to find like the best way to do this, and that was pretty much the best I could come up with. I think that's probably a good, solid, decent starting strategy. You can get a much more powerful bless if you take an immobile and or if you take your god dormant or imprisoned, which is viable because Mekoneans don't show up until almost like pretty close to when imprisoned gods break free. The issue is your expansion as Phlegra is pretty garbage because you have to fight late age indies, and so expanding without an Awake Expander is hell. It's very, very painful. So I prefer to have the Awake monster in order to kickstart my expansion so that I have a ton of resources and money so I can build a lot of forts so that when the Mekoneans come out and ruin my capital income, I can survive pretty well. So that is the plan. Now, when it comes to profit making, I'm actually not going to make my initial commander my prophet because I want an Oppressor General to be my prophet. Oppressor Generals have magic, and more importantly, they have magic leadership, so they can lead promoted Heelot soldiers and Iron Guard, and that's a valuable ability. So we're going to start off recruiting an Oppressor General, and then we're going to recruit a couple of Iron Guard. I've tried a number of different expansion strategies with Phlegra. Once you've got a bunch of resources, you can expand sort of in the second half of expansion, the second wave, as it were. You can use Mouflon Cataphracts, or you can use Cyclope Soldiers. They're both quite good. Cyclope Soldiers are extremely tough. You get them 3 per turn, and Mouflon Cataphracts are very tough, and they hit extremely hard. Iron Guard are quite tough, but not as much so. They're cheaper. And, of course, Heelot Soldiers are basically just independent heavy infantry. Actually, very slightly worse than independent heavy infantry, but cheaper in gold. You can, against some indie pop types, you can expand with masses of Heelot Archers, which is a lot easier because they require very little by way of anything. So you can crap out a ton of them right from the start of the game. But in the late age, there's a lot of indies that are not vulnerable to Heelot Archers. There's a lot of heavy cavalry provinces, there's a lot of heavy infantry provinces, there's a lot of provinces with their own crossbows. So it makes it difficult to rely on Heelot Archers. So we're going to start off just by recruiting 2.5 Iron Guard and an Oppressor General. We've got 1 command point left after we do that, and 220 gold, which means we can't quite get started on a Cyclope Smith. So we're going to get started on a Phlegran Oppressor as well, and he will start our research core. In terms of research, our very first research, in my mind, should probably be either Enchantment or Construction 3 for the basic Earth buffs. Strength of Giants and Legions of Steel. Legions of Steel in particular would be really, really sweet with our infantry, since buffing the prot of our infantry by 3 would make them quite tough. We will also need Conjuration at some point here. We need Conjuration 3 for Summon Earth Power fairly quickly. So probably I'm going to go Construction 3, Conjuration 3, and then finish Construction off at level 4. After that, we'll kind of reassess. Getting Construction early is also, of course, important because we will be forging items for our super combatants. Now, the Gigantist is most effective in our domain, of course, Dominion, but since he spreads Dominion, since he gets, you know, 3 checks, 1 with 100% success rate, you can also just blind expand with him, because there's almost nothing that can kill him. You can blind expand with him, and he will take the Dominion with him, so we will have his regen, since there's no other candles to fight at the start of the game. So the question is, which forest do I want to go for? I do want to go for the forests, because I want to get more resources as rapidly as possible. In order for my capital to be functional as late-age Phlegra, I need to have like 500 resources, which means I need to get high resource provinces very quickly. Now, fortunately, my giant citadel that I start with has administration 60, so it gathers a ton of resources from nearby provinces. It gathers actually, I think, slightly more resources than they show, than the number of resources they have demonstrates. So I'm going to expand into this forest, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Gigantist to go boop, 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 and then my second expansion party will go up here, unless that province looks impossible, and hit that. And we'll kind of see where we go from there. Yeah, because I want both these forests as quickly as possible. My starting army is not great. It's not awful, but it's not great. We've got 10 Heelot soldiers and 10 Heelot archers. Not actually enough to take on pretty much any indie. So we're going to have to wait at least 2 turns for recruitment. And that's why I'm hitting the high resource province first, because if I get lucky, if I manage to hit a province that has 60 or 80 resources or whatever, that will mean next turn I can recruit 4 or 5 Iron Guard instead of 3. And with that will give me enough Iron Guard to mix into this squad and have a good old time. The problem with mixing Iron Guard and Heelot soldiers is that the Heelot soldiers' lower morale drags down the Iron Guard's very high morale, since morale checks are taken on the majority value of the squad, or the average value of the squad, one of the two. And so the main point of the Iron Guard, which is that their morale is incredibly high and they don't break, is more or less lost. You need to have as many Iron Guard as Heelot soldiers at least. More valuably is to have, it's more valuable to have a squadron of primarily Iron Guard with maybe a few Heelot soldiers mixed in. If you do that, then you create a very, very tough unit that won't break and won't run, and is very, very hard for anybody to kill because it has 18 protection across the board. But in any case, that is going to be turn 1. My research I'm not going to bother with right now beyond that. Like, that's going to be good enough. In terms of pretenders, oh, I like it. Harmless Rainbow Butterfly, Bloody Mary, Scalius, Floaty McFloatface, Striking Personality, Mr. the Agartist, Wheelchair, Lizard Lord Phil, Ranting Twitterbot, Diuma, Götterdammerung, Anisalhidi, the Gigantist, Paris Climate Accords, Christine, and Alice Landale. Okay. Okay, we're doing well. We're having a good old time. And what thrones do we have? So we have 2 level 3 thrones, 4 level 2, and 2 level 1s. We've got a wide spread. The Throne of Stars, Throne of Flames, the Golden Throne, that's a good one. Throne of Death, that's also a pretty good one. Throne of the Moon, Throne of Life, Throne of Eternal Suffering, and the Throne of the Sun. Okay. Okay. So we've only got 1 throne that produces mages, the Golden Throne. So that is going to be extremely valuable. If you can get a hold of this, ooh baby, that will be important. The Throne of Death would be extremely valuable for me, specifically, because it will give me all them sweet, sweet death gems. The Throne of the Sun, Throne of Eternal Suffering, I've already got Order and Productivity maxed out. Throne of Life would be fantastically useful. I would love to have that because it would give me nature gems. So the closest thrones to me are there and there, which means I'm probably going to want to push in this direction. I do want to take that since that's a farm. So probably what I'm going to end up expanding, expansion-wise, I may actually take those and then go south with the Gigantist in an effort to kind of get close to this and lock down that province. Spread my Dominion onto it. Once I spread my Dominion onto it, the Gigantist can probably take it. I mean, he can take most provinces. Actually, I was just talking about how I need enchantment for Strength of Giants. I'm actually going to swap from construction to enchantment, because enchantment also gives me personal regeneration, which the Gigantist can cast. That'll give him 20% regeneration. And then he'll regenerate a silly number of hit points per turn, about 32 to 34. Sounds great. So, that is turn 1, and I will see you all in turn 2. Okay, turn 2 of Do You Even Lift. We've expanded into this forest. It was the right call, because it gave us a whole bunch more resources. And we can kind of fast forward through this battle, because it's just a Drakon eating everyone. Very, very weak defenses, militia, light infantry, and archers, and a priest, so a luckily unimpressive independent army. And you can see the poison, the Drakon just murdered everyone and didn't even care. Yay, Drakon. This is why we love Drakons. Just mercilessly chasing them down as they flee. I think these guys are both crippled. Yeah. And boop. And boop. There we go. Drakon ate everyone. Fantastic. So, we conquered Erytheia. We're using those resources to up our Iron Guard recruitment. I have recruited a Oppressor General, who I've named Weenie Jr., and he's going to become the Prophet. And I recruited him because Adrestos has no magic leadership, so he can't lead Iron Guard. And I want those Iron Guard mixed into the fight there. So Weenie Jr. is going to lead them. Now I've named him Weenie Jr. because I don't care about him and kind of want him to die later in the game. Because of course I'm going to profit a Laestrygonian Tyrant in order to make him immune to mind control. Now, in late age, you can see the names of provinces up to 3 away from your borders. So by looking around, I've noticed that I can see all the way up to here in this lake, and I don't see any of the water nations, which means that the water nations are in here. So we've got, if you'll recall, we've got Relay in the water, and we've also got, what was the other one? Wasn't there another actual water nation? Nope, I don't think so. Okay, so we've got Relay, but then we've also got Atlantis, who is going to try to kill Relay, because that's like Atlantis' purpose in life. And so Atlantis has to be on a coast somewhere, so they might be on a coast up here, or they might well be on a coast around this lake somewhere. If we look around at what else we can see, we've got Obalshan, Valrest, Iron Range. I'm checking to see if I could see anybody's capital already, and I can't over here, but having expanded one province, I can now see Ragha. So I'm right next to Ragha. That's in some ways a problem, but Ragha is being played by Althaea, and Althaea really tends to go with Scales build, and in particular, in this game, has been talking about how she's using some kind of unusual Ragha build that may include cold. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it's not going to be the traditional Heat 3 Hellbless. Of that, I'm pretty certain. So, that being so, she may well be dangerous later in the game. I mean, she's going to be dangerous later in the game. She's very good at playing Dominions. But I'm probably not going to get rushed. Which is fine, because I am also extremely dangerous later in the game when I have Laestrygonians online. As long as I don't get rushed, I think I'll be okay. Abysia also hired the Armored Fist of God, so that was a big chunk of their change. For recruitment, I'm recruiting a Cyclops Smith and a Phlegran Oppressor, and my Iron Guard. After I get a couple of Cyclops Smiths churned out, I'll switch over to recruiting Oppressor Archons and start using them to site search, because I desperately need gems. As I have expressed, in my opinion, Phlegra is probably one of the more gem-reliant nations, and that's just always going to be the case. Like, you're going to be so hungry for gems once the Laestrygonians come out, it's not even funny. And your starting gem income is, Earth gems are good, but you don't get many of them. It's mostly fire gems, and fire gems are not what you need for most of your equipment, unfortunately. So, that's the turn. Most people prophetized this turn. I, of course, waited the turn, and I'm not sure who else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there's a few other nations that also waited. But if we look at prophets, we've got Commandante Kairos, prophet of Alice Landale. The Illithid Lord. Aw, man. He was trying to go for Illithid Lord, and the formatting messed it up. Darn. The prophet of Christine, guardian of the Tablets of Destiny. Iarok, the Snow Captain. Hong Harvong. I don't know if that was a default. I think Althaea said that was a default name. Andre the Hearst, the prophet of Götterdämmerung. Götterdämmerung, sorry. I'm way too humble for you, understand? The Cataphract Commander. Oh, boy. Put litter in its place, the Abyssian Commander. Yeti, the General. Friendly Neighborhood Apostle, the Captain. The Man-Eater. So he's taken a Scales... I think that's actually... That sounds like fire, but I think that's actually like either Astral or the Astral Fire Crosspath and Blood. Balthazar, Bloody Mary, Tower of Strength, Prince of Agriculture, the Awesome. Okay, so he's trying to make it sound like a vampire queen, but these titles actually indicate an earth nature. Expander. An expanding monster, basically, because with earth and nature cross paths, that's what you're going to have. So he has like a thrice-horned boar or something. And Avalon Chrysalis, the Royal Forester. Harmless Rainbow Butterfly, the Unsleeping God, King of the Spring. I don't remember what the Unsleeping God is. King of the Spring is nature, I believe. So yeah, so Ulm's got an Earth Nature expander. Man's got nature. Marignon has definitely blood, and then I think Fire Astral Crosspath. I think he has 3. Tianchi has... He who mounts the clouds, god of mists, giver of life. Water and nature? Question mark? King of suffering, one far above, so... I think King of Suffering is actually... I don't remember. It sounds like it's probably Death Scales. Pangaea, Prince of Fires of the Earth, the Hungry Earth Eater of Children. Blood. The Armorer, Master of the Blessed Lands, Counselor of God. So that's Earth and... I want to say Astral. Ragha has the Far Traveler, God of Arcane Mysteries, the Peacemaker. That's Astral. Guardian of Existence, Patron of Smiths, Prince of Grasses, Green and Reed. That's Earth and Nature. Relay is Guardian of the Tablets of Destiny, God of Forgiving, Master of Inventions. That's Astral. Definitely no surprise there. And Erytheia is the Vessel of Might, the Divine Shepherd, Patron of Languages. That's Earth and Nature. So he's taken an expander. Ulm has taken an expander. Atlantis has taken an expander, but probably only an underwater one, because they don't have many amphibious options. They could have taken the Father of Monsters, which would be amphibious. Okay, so those are the gods. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about Ragha, but we'll just kind of have to see how that goes. And next turn, I should be able to move up here. Well, I won't be able to cross the river. I need him to cross the river. Okay, so next turn, my army will actually go this way, take that province, and then I'll see if I can push over here into Asanon and circle back around. Or if potentially I can even take these. Probably not. There's doubtless somebody over in this area. Because, like, I can't see any of those provinces. So, there's doubtless somebody already pretty much claiming this territory. It's a little bit too far away for me to reach, especially considering this map is very slightly smaller than people are used to. Many maps have 15 provinces per player, land provinces that is. I deliberately made this map a little tighter than that. This map's got about 12 provinces per land player. So, we can definitely expect like this, where he's 4 steps from my capital. That's to be expected. Sometimes you may well find people 3 steps from your capital. I have actually been kind of fortunate in that I haven't. But we'll see how it goes. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in turn 3. Okay, so it's turn 3. I just loaded this up, and I immediately noticed that I had taken the wold, and then there was an unexpected event, and I was attacked in the wold. So that's a little funny. Midgard declared a prophet, Elfie Elf the Vanhurst, and of course Weenie Jr., the Oppressor General, has become my prophet, the prophet of the Gigantist. Master of Horses, Lord of the Crafts. I wonder how this Drakon is Master of Horses. That's kind of hilarious. In any case, so let's look at the Wold. My Drakon was attacking. My Drakon was attracting. My Drakon was attacking here, and I really can't anticipate he didn't lose to this. Or sure, well, I know he didn't lose. I can't anticipate this did any damage to him even. I mean, yeah, he got stabbed a little bit, but like, who cares? He regenerates 16 hit points a turn at the moment. Yep. That went fine, I think. Uh-huh. Yep, interesting. Okay, great. And then we were attacked by brigands, the unluckiest brigands in the world. The brigands led by the stupidest brigand leader in the world. These villains, with their 2 brigand leaders, looked at the giant poison-breathing dragon thing who had just taken the place over and went, "We can take him! Come on, boys! Let's get him!" And they were wrong. They were so very, very wrong. They are sure shooting their little bows, though. They're trying to do it. They are really trying to do it. And there they go. Great. So, we've taken the Wold. It's not much, but it is ours. And then now, we also have a little bit of an army. So these guys can be in line formation, up front, set to attack immediately. These guys can also be in line formation for making them harder to hit. And they can fire at, let's fire at enemy archers. And you can be on cast spells, and you can be up with the archers. That will be fine. So, Weenie Jr. can take this army. He can probably take either of these provinces, to be honest. That one has a ton of resources, though, so we do want to finish it off this turn. So, Weenie Jr. is going to go... that's right, he can't cross the river. Damn. Okay. I forgot about that. So, Weenie Jr. So, there's 2 things I can do with this right now. That's 145 income, so I really want that province. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse both armies on this province. That means that we'll take it with basically no casualties. And then the Drakon, because he is a swimmer, he can cross the river next turn and take Dunheim, while Weenie Jr. takes his army down this way or over there, whichever is easier. And we've already got some enemy dominion in that province. So, I'm not sure where that's coming from. There must be an enemy right over here somewhere. Or down here. And I'm betting it's probably over here. Thinking that's what it is. Because otherwise they'd have to have expanded in pretty much a straight line. So that's fine. We've got 49 extra resources at the moment. We're going to recruit another Cyclops Smith, definitely. We're actually going to pump out Cyclops Smiths for a little bit just to buff up our resources. And Perdiccas, the Cyclops Smith, I could send him out to Site Search, which could be nice to get a jump on air gems, but I really, really want him to stand around providing 20 resources, because that's affected by our productivity scales, so he's actually providing about 27 resources, since we get an extra 40%, almost 40%. Which is what's allowing us to recruit all these Iron Guard. Now, the only issue with Iron Guard is that to lead Iron Guard, of course, you need Oppressor Generals or Phlegra Oppressors. You need people with magic leadership. You can lead them with Cyclops, but only a few. So I do have an Oppressor, but he only has 15 magic leadership. Oppressor Generals and Phlegra Commanders have none. So in a way, it would be better if instead of Iron Guard, I recruited Heelot Soldiers. Now, Heelot Soldiers are nothing like as good as Iron Guard, and they die much more quickly, because despite having a point of extra defense skill, they have 3 less protection, and they also hit a lot less and do less damage. So, that's problematic, but they can be led by regular commanders. The other way to do this is to start recruiting Mouflon Cataphracts or Cyclops Soldiers. Cyclops Soldiers are really good units. They're very, very similar, actually, to Mekoneans Giganti Hoplites. They're worse. They have lower skills, they don't have formation fighters, so they can't stand 2 in a square. But they, like the Gigantes of the early era, they have magical weapons and magical armor, high protection, and a lot of hit points. So they're very tough, and they suffer very little attrition, which is the nice thing about them. However, they don't kill very quickly. Mouflon Cataphracts are quite tough, even by heavy cavalry standards, they're quite tough. Protection 18 and defense skill 14 is very good. Their resource cost is unusually high for their protection level. Like, for 63 resources, I would expect like 20 or 21 protection. Middle-aged Marignon has their knights that get 21 protection for 50 some odd resources, and Ragha has cavalry that get, I think, 20 protection for significantly less resources. Let's take a look at that, actually, just to confirm that I'm not crazy. Yeah, the Savaran Guard, they cost 47 resources, and they have 20 protection and defense skill 14. So these guys are objectively superior to Mouflon Cataphracts. They do, however, cost more gold and more recruitment points. Mouflon Cataphracts are 30 and 39, as opposed to 40 and 48, so they do have that going for them, I guess. In any case, Mouflon Cataphracts are a very solid unit, and they kill pretty effectively because they have the 2 attacks plus the lance charge. So starting to recruit Mouflon Cataphracts at this point, now that I've got enough to have 4 of them a turn, wouldn't be a terrible idea. Actually, probably what I'd do is I'd recruit 3, and then I'd pump out a whole ton of Heelot archers to serve as chaff and distract the enemy. Or, 67 resources. I could also get 2 Heelot soldiers. Because basically the point of this is you get a big blob of something with the commander standing in it, and they distract the enemy while the Mouflon Cataphracts attack rear. And that can work against provinces like this, like Grey Mountains, or provinces like this. It doesn't work so well against provinces with crossbows, and it doesn't work so well against provinces with heavy cavalry. But against a province like this, 3 turns of recruitment of this type could probably take that province and this province without having to stop. So, there's strategies. There's definitely strategies. And once I get this, I'll be able to recruit 5 Mouflons a turn, if not a little bit more. I'm a little bit undecided. Iron Guard, like, in many ways, recruiting the Iron Guard is the best way to go, because the Iron Guard, you can recruit quite a few of them, and they're very tough infantry, and they hit harder than most human infantry at a high attack value. The problem just is they're magic beings, so you need these guys to lead them, and that means that you have to stop recruiting Cyclopes. You can also do a mix, because I could do that. No, that's not worth it. That's too few infantry, and too few cavalry. Yeah, we're just going to stick with the Iron Guard. We'll recruit an Oppressor General again next turn. So this turn we'll get 1 Cyclope Smith. Next turn we'll get 1 Cyclope Smith and 1 Oppressor General. And then after that, I want to get up to about 6 or 8 Cyclope Smiths sitting in the capital. That will kick me up to around 500 resources once I've closed my cap circle, because those two have about 100 resources between them. And because of my administration 60, I'm actually pulling out 10% more resources than they show. So from this province, I'm going to get about 80, and from this province, I'm going to get about 30, 31, 32, something like that. This is because I think I've said this before, but I don't quite remember. Provinces actually only show half the resources they have. If you build a fort in a province, then it generates 100% of its resources, so this value immediately doubles. Plus, it starts to pull out its administration value in resources from the provinces that surround it. So Phlegra right now is pulling 60% of the resources from Erytheia, Wold, Range of Light, and Dunheim. What this means is that since it's pulling 60% of the resources and this value is 50% of the resources, this value will actually go down because my giant citadel is pulling out so many resources that they're only getting 40% of their real resource value. So I know that seems a little bit complicated, but the overall gist is building forts increases the total resources available, always. But if you build forts next to each other too much, they will shift around how those resources are distributed. In this case, I want a lot of resources in Phlegra itself because I want to be able to recruit a lot of Iron Guard. Like, I want to have 500 resources in Phlegra, specifically so that if I want, I can just crap out 15 or 20 Iron Guard, you know, in a turn. It also helps with the Mouflon Cataphracts, but if all I was concerned about was having the maximum total available resources, I would build a fort here and a fort here, because that would increase the maximum total available resources by doubling the resources in these provinces. It would also, however, draw a bunch of resources away from Phlegra, because Phlegra couldn't then pull on resources from these provinces, and Phlegra will be left with very few resources, like 100 and something. In any case, that was a bit of a long-winded explanation that we probably didn't actually need, but the gist of the matter is, I'm not going to be building forts in these provinces because I want those resources to go primarily to Phlegra. I would love, however, to build a fort here. And in fact, that might be a reason to send the Drakon south. Or to send Weenie Jr. south, because Weenie Jr. could take that province. Let's send Weenie Jr. south. This is also a scout province, so let's start recruiting scouts forever. And yeah, so the Gigantist will go take Range of Light, then he'll take Dunheim, and keep expanding in this direction. I will aim to have these, like this province I would like to have. This province would also be nice, and this province would be nice. That would form kind of a natural border. But whoever's over here will probably object, and I'm sure there's someone in that area at least. And so we'll see how it goes. I still need to contact Althaea. Still need to make friends with her. I think we can probably be friends at least temporarily, because like I said, she doesn't really want to rush. I don't want to be rushed, and she also doesn't want to fight my Drakon early on. So we should be fine. So yeah, Weenie Jr. will come down here. Unfortunately, none of these units will really help him. These are actually quite resource-intensive units, because they're armored in plate. Well, this heavy infantry is armored in chain, but still more resources than the province actually has. After I recruit the scout especially. So we won't recruit anything, but he'll come down here. He'll take over Grey Mountains, and we will use one of these scouts to follow him in and start building a palisade immediately, so that we can then take these bordering provinces and turn this into a production center for Mouflon Cataphracts. So that'll be the plan. And I will see you in turn 4.